Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga, brought to you by Oddspedia. Today I'm joined by German football expert Radek Vegas. We're here to bring you the best odds, tips and predictions on week 7 of the Bundesliga season. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like this video, subscribe and share this video with your friends. Now, let's make some money. Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga. Today I'm joined by Radek Vegas. Radek, welcome.
Hey Tom, how are you?
Very well. Let's crack on and get straight into it with Friday's action. It's Werder Bremen versus Cologne. Cologne, where do we start here? They've no wins in 16 league games. Werder actually won this tie 6-1 at the very end of the 19-20 season. But also Werder aren't really firing all cylinders either. They've actually drawn their last 3 games 1-1. So how do you pick the bones out of that one?
Yeah, it's time to Cologne to strike back some kind of. And Bremen is not the toughest team in the league. They were pretty lucky within the last 3 games where they managed to make a point at least. And I think they're over their strength, or they're a bit overperforming, and yeah, it's a tough game day in the whole to bet on. And to spoiler something, I will bet on a lot of draws here, and this is the first one. Because if you look at the odds on Oddspedia, you can compare the odds and always be sure to get the best odds. You get 2.4 on Werder Bremen, which is not the biggest odds you want to have on a team like that. And on the other hand, you can't bet on a win on Cologne because they didn't win for 16 games. Why should they win this game? And in games where you can't see a clear winner, it's not the worst decision to bet on just a draw. And I like draws so much because they give you a really big odd. And if you have to win only every third or even every fourth draw game, so to be profitable. And I think in this case, Bremen for sure is a bit the favorite, but not that much that it's worth to bet on these 2.4 odds, and that's why I like the draw odd of 3.6.
Yeah, I mean, a 1-1 draw, you can actually get at 7.5, which is pretty good, you've got to say. So we're going for a draw on the opening night on Friday. Into Saturday's action, Augsburg versus Hertha Berlin. I've actually seen a bit of Hertha myself the last couple of years, and you simply can't trust them, can you? Capital Club have lost 4 of their last 5. They actually drew the other. Augsburg have had a pretty decent start to their campaign. Of course, they recently beat Dortmund at home, but the last 2 seasons they finished 15th, so around the relegation zone. So is this early good form, or do you think that they can continue it?
There are a lot of good points. You mentioned that you can't trust Hertha. You can't trust any team in the Bundesliga. That's very special in the Bundesliga. If you look at the results in the past, you see that there are only about 3 to 4 favorite wins average in a game day in the Bundesliga. That's very, very lower favorite wins compared to all other top leagues in Europe. So you always have to keep the surprises in your head. And on the other hand, Augsburg did a good job in some games, and for my opinion, Augsburg is way better than they were in the standings last year, as they were 15th and struggled to keep the class. And that's why I think they are at home, especially even if there are no fans allowed at the moment. They are the favorite here because Hertha has to travel a long distance to Augsburg. It's about 600 kilometers. Augsburg is near Munich and in the south of Germany. So I expect them to go on and make another good appearance here. They won the last home game against Mainz, I think. I'm not sure if they played at home, but they won against Mainz. And so, yeah, Hertha is also better than they are in the standings. They scored 10 goals in the first 6 games, which is not that bad, but also they conceded 13 goals, and that's a good point because Augsburg only conceded 7 goals and has one of the best defense. And as we seen in the last game, they had Andre Hahn, a former national player, a national team player for Germany, and a lot of other good attackers, and that's why I'm going with Augsburg here. I like the odds of 2.95 on Augsburg, but I would never bet on 1x or 2, and I'm always looking at Asian handicaps to get a fair odd around 2.0. So you get odds of 2.08 on Augsburg if you bet on Asian handicap 0. Easy to say, that means draw no bet. If the game is a draw, you get your money back. It's better than lose your money in this game. But I back up Augsburg here, but always be aware on the danger of every Bundesliga team in any situation, and Hertha is not much worse than Augsburg.
Yeah, it's certainly a topsy-turvy season so far, and obviously a very compressed fixture list as well. Later on, we've got, at the same time, we've got Leipzig, Freiburg. What a week it's been for Leipzig. They were a week ago flying at the top of the table, playing well. Now, obviously, smashed by United 5-0 in Europe. And then, obviously, they fell to their first defeats of the season to Gladbach. They've been undefeated in 16 of their last 17 home games, and clearly they are the home side here. And Freiburg, on the other hand, they failed to win in 9 of their last 10 away games. So is 1.3, 1.4 decent value for the hosts here?
No, it's never. That's a point where I always insist, if somebody's following the German Oddspedia channel, I tell it every time like a broken record, that you never should bet on low odds, because the risk on low odds is way too high, and you only get peanuts for it. So in this game, it doesn't matter in any game how big the favorite seems to be. It is never, because the odds are driven by the mass. If all people are thinking, we're betting on Leipzig, and that's why the odds on Leipzig are that low, so there is really hard to find value on low odds. On the other hand, do we have some points why Freiburg can point here in this case? And yes, you mentioned it, because Leipzig is suffering due to a lot of games. They lack of power. They are not really good in shape at the moment. And on the other hand, is Freiburg strong enough to make Leipzig's life kind of hard? I don't think so. Last game between Leipzig and Freiburg in Leipzig was 1-1, and I think Leipzig can win the game, but if the odds are low, you have to watch at the Asian handicaps, -1 on Leipzig, and this is still no good price of the bookies. So the only bet which is to consider is Leipzig -1.5, which gives you an odd of 2.0. And I'm really aware of that, because I don't trust Leipzig at the moment to win a game very clear with 2 goals in advantage. So I won't bet on a side here. So I just say don't bet on every game, and be aware of low odds, because you can't win a lot with them.
Interestingly, if you did want a repeat of last season and a 1-1 correct full-time score, there are odds of 7.0 on site, but that's I'd listen to Radek if you want to really win your money. On Saturday as well, we've got Mainz versus Schalke. What a game this is. 2 points between them both. Mainz lost their last 7. Obviously, Schalke haven't won in 22. Schalke have conceded 3 or more in their last 4 away games. How do you call this one, Radek?
Yeah, that's really the 2 baddest or worst teams in the German league at the moment, 17th against 18th. And Mainz is the only team with 0 points in professional soccer, I think, in the world at the moment, and at least in Europe or Germany. And I think it has to be one day that Mainz makes a point, but that's hypothetical, I think. And yes. You can't bet on each of the teams, so it's a clear draw here as well. 3.5 on a draw. For sure, it's a everything can happen game. It depends on the daily form, but it's in every game. So if you want to make profit in sports betting in the long run, you have always to think about what will happen in these games if you have 100 copies of this game, and how likely is it in 100 games with all these different factors to win Mainz? Is it more than 40% winning Mainz here this home game? I doubt it. And on the other hand, Schalke for sure can win the game as well, but at the end they're on the same level. They are in the bottom of the league. If you want to bet on it, then only a draw makes sense here, because everything else is just speculation. And the odds on Mainz are too poor, and the odds on Schalke are kind of value, but I would prefer the draw.
Okay, great. That's some decent odds there as well, of 3.5, 3.7, depending where you look. So up next is Stuttgart versus Eintracht. Stuttgart will be pleased with their start to the season. 8th, after just being promoted, only 1 defeat so far. Eintracht level on points, just 2 positions lower. Andre Silva's had a good start to the year, leading the line for Eintracht. Interestingly, they've actually been caught offside more than any other club. Silva with the most, with 9. Do you expect them to be pushing against that Stuttgart backline here on Saturday?
Stuttgart is so far the biggest surprise in the league. They only lost their first game. Now they have 5 games in a row not losing, and they only lost the first game in the first half, where they were 3-0 behind Freiburg, and in the second half they scored 2 goals. And yeah, Stuttgart is on fire at the moment, and Frankfurt was good as well. They only lost 1 game, and this was 5-0 against Bayern Munich. So you have to put that away, keep it out your mind, Frankfurt, and go on playing a good football. I think Frankfurt is the bit better team here. And that's why I like the odds on Frankfurt, because the bookies don't know where to go. You have 2.6 on Stuttgart, 2.7 on Frankfurt, and that means they are expecting kind of a draw. And that's not the baddest thing here, but I think Frankfurt is a little bit underrated depending on the odds you see here. And I would bet on draw or bet on Frankfurt with the odds of 1.94. So you don't have to worry about a not unrealistic draw here. But if Frankfurt wins the game, you get 1.94. That's a good odd. It's I think Stuttgart is always not to underrate. You don't know, it's another close game, but I will go with Frankfurt because it makes more sense to me, because they have the bigger experience, the better players, and the more experienced players, and this can be a factor in the recent situation.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is good to have Stuttgart back in the top division of German football as well. Union Berlin versus Arminia Bielefeld. This doesn't feel like a game for the purists, you got to say. Arminia have lost their last 4 Bundesliga games. They've conceded 2 or more in their last 3. Union, meanwhile, they're up in 6th and they're unbeaten in 5. So interesting season for them.
Yeah, they are surprising week after last season, because everyone expected them to go straightly back to the second league, and now they are doing a great job. And last game day they win in Hoffenheim. It's some days ago, and now they're 7th in the standings. That's a really, really good thing for Union Berlin. And this is their advantage over Arminia Bielefeld, because Arminia Bielefeld was playing good in the first 2 games, but now I think they lost 4 games in a row. Okay, they had some good opponents, but on the other hand, they had some opponents they could have beaten as well if they are, they deserve to be in the first league. And it comes clear that they lack a bit of quality, and that's why I would say Union Berlin is the favorite here. Obviously is in the odds with 1.96 on Union Berlin. But the question is, how big are they favorite? Is it enough to bet on a 50% chance to win the game on Union Berlin? That is what an odds of 2.0 means. It means 50% chance to win. And yes, I think so, because Arminia Bielefeld is struggling in the last games, and Union Berlin did a good job, especially because they have Max Kruse, which is with 32 years still one of the best midfielders or attacking players in Germany. And yeah, he's getting better and better after wasing a bit broader in the first games, but now he's in good form, and yeah, that's why I would support Union Berlin here with a win.
Okay, great to see. On Saturday evening, undoubtedly the biggest game of the weekend, arguably the biggest game of the season so far. It's the Klassiker, Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich. They're level on points at the top of the table. The Bavarians just above on goal difference. Bayern look pretty unstoppable at the moment, particularly following that 4-1 defeat by Hoffenheim earlier in the season. They've won 18 of their last 19. Dortmund haven't really hit top form, top gear, but they have kept 4 clean sheets in their last 4. Can the black and yellow halt the Bavarian runaway train?
Yeah, everyone hopes so. And I'm saying that as a Bavarian and as a kind of fan of Bayern Munich. I'm not a fan, but it's the team I grew up with, and that's why to bring back some tension and suspension in the Bundesliga, everyone hopes that the championship is not decided after 20 games or 30 games, and maybe there is a chance for Dortmund to win this game. That's why, because Bayern showed some small downwards trend. They won 2-1 against Lokomotiv Moscow. They only won 2-1 against really bad Cologne, and they only jump as high as they have to. And maybe in this game they have to jump a lot of higher to win this game, because Dortmund, as you mentioned, has the best defense in the Bundesliga. Only 2 goals conceded, and both goals were against Augsburg. Yeah, good, another Bavarian team. Maybe Dortmund has problems with Bavarian teams, but there are de facto no Bavarian players in the squad. So it's just randomly. Augsburg had a good day, Dortmund had a very bad day, and in the all other 5 games of Borussia Dortmund, they were clearly the better team. They, I hope they're growing together as a team, because they have to find together, as a lot of young players are always there, and They have a huge potential, and if they have a good day, they are able to beat Bayern Munich. I'm really confident, and I wish them the best for the tension in the league. And on the other hand, you get odds of 1.8 on Bayern, which is very high for Bayern Munich. But even I see the danger that Borussia Dortmund can hurt them. But a key factor will be if Mats Hummels is ready to play, because he scored the last 3 games in the Bundesliga for Dortmund, I think. And now he had injury in the last game. And he's questionable if he can play against his former club, Bayern Munich. So if Hummels is not in the game, this will be an advantage for Bayern Munich. If Hummels is playing, he's also the captain of Dortmund. So this can be a point that he's so highly motivated, as the whole team is, to prove that they are really a contender for the title. And that's why they are not allowed to lose this game. To bet on, Asian handicap, Borussia Dortmund plus 0.5 means double chance on Dortmund with odds of 2.1. It's attractive for me, but also too dangerous against Bayern Munich. I understand everyone who wants to support his favorite club or who is hating Bayern Munich to bet against Bayern Munich, but for me it's too dangerous to bet on against them. That's just a personal thing. If I put away my personal emotions, I would bet on Dortmund.
Okay, interestingly. Well, I mean, Dortmund need to make a big impact and a big statement if they could get maximum points here at home. Interesting, you mentioned Hummels. Hummels has 3 goals, which is as many goals as Schalke have scored this season. Sorry to rub it into any Schalke fan out there. As we move into Sunday's action, Wolfsburg versus Hoffenheim. It's been quite a weird season so far for Wolfsburg. 5 draws from 6. So few scored, so few conceded. Them and Leverkusen are the only sides that remain unbeaten in the Bundesliga. And if we look at Hoffenheim, on the other hand, they haven't won in 9 of their last 10 away games in the league. Maybe look here, I think for me is under 2.5 goals. 2.41 looks quite good value to me, but what do you think?
It's kind of surprising why Wolfsburg only scored four times, because they have good strikers with Wout Weghorst. He scored 2 goals, and Maxi Arnold, who is a kind of defense midfielder between the boxes, box-to-box player, and he's a national player in Germany as well, and experienced and young on both. So I like his style of playing very much. He's always good in standard situations like corners and free kicks. And that's why, Wolfsburg had to face some tough games against Leipzig, I think, and Leverkusen, and so they didn't lose a game so far. That's clearly a good point for them, that they didn't score a lot, that they didn't win a lot. That's on the other hand, but I think they showed their quality more than Hoffenheim did. Despite Hoffenheim won against Bayern Munich, no one knows how they did that, and I think they fell into a kind of hole after they beat Bayern Munich. They thought maybe they are great, but then they lost against Union Berlin. That's a kind of roller coaster what Hoffenheim is doing, and what Hoffenheim is doing for years, I think. And a conservative bet would be on a Wolfsburg home win. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that in almost every game you have to be aware of the draw in the Bundesliga, and this is for me, if I didn't know the odds, I would say hard to find, a little bit in advantage Wolfsburg, but I can imagine that after such a defeat against Union Berlin, Hoffenheim will strike back, because it's unrealistic for Bundesliga teams to only go in one direction, up and down, because Hoffenheim is clearly a team who belongs more up in the standings than down, and that's why they have to shift the corner, I think. And that's why I'm aware of a draw here. But enough said, I don't think Hoffenheim wins the game. Draw will be a good thing with 3.75. A Wolfsburg win is, I think also realistic, but compare it. If you have 50% chance on Wolfsburg win, maybe 50% chance on a draw, because I think the chances on Hoffenheim win are too low to consider. You get a way better odds on a draw, so you're better off betting on draws than on favorite wins. That's my style of betting, just my strategy, but maybe you understand what I mean.
Absolutely. I mean, we're now looking at 6 potential draws out of 7 there for Wolfsburg, which would be a very intriguing start to the season. Which way would it tip? Only time will tell. But the last game of the weekend is Leverkusen versus Borussia Mönchengladbach. Two strong sides. They're scoring plenty of goals. They've just got one defeat between them in the league. There's been over 2.5 goals in Gladbach's last 11 away games, including a 3-1 win and a 3-2 win in October. How do you see this one going, Radek?
Yeah, really, really tough to predict, but I see more points for Leverkusen here, because Gladbach has a really tough schedule. They're playing first time in Champions League. They made a brilliant job against Inter Milan and Real Madrid, but both games they could have won, but they didn't win. And I think that's a kind of mentally problem of Gladbach to compete with big teams. And on the other hand, they beat Leipzig 1-0. But Leverkusen didn't lose a game so far. They are stepping up every game. They made 4 goals against Freiburg last week. Lucas Alario is in brilliant shape, and he's scoring 5 goals right now in 5 games. And Leverkusen is a bit of favorite, but they have really decent odds of 2.3 here to win this game at home. And Gladbach is playing in the Champions League this week again. But Leverkusen has to play in the Europa League, but I think their game is not that tough as in the Champions League. So the game is on Sunday evening. Maybe Gladbach has 1 or even 2 days more to recover. That are a lot of points to put in a nutshell, but I still tend to bet on Leverkusen. I always said last season that I'm 100% sure Leverkusen is better than Gladbach. They weren't, but I think in this season, even if Havertz and Volland are not in the game anymore for Leverkusen, I think they can finish in the Champions League spots, and this is a critical game for them, because Gladbach is their likely most dangerous opponent, and a win against Gladbach is very important. But as always, you don't make a mistake to bet on a draw here. So bet on a lot of draws I mentioned on this game day. You only have to have 3 draws to make a profit. That is another interesting thing.
Gladbach, of course, they will be travelling across to Ukraine to play Shakhtar earlier in the week, so they'll have that travel to come back to. But certainly the Bundesliga is starting to really take shape in terms of the final positions and where you'd expect teams to feature, with the likes of Munich and Dortmund, Leipzig, and also these two sides, Leverkusen and Gladbach, towards those Champions League spots. We've got a lot of excitement to look forward to. No doubt the Klassiker is the highlight of this weekend's action, but plenty of draws have been tipped, so that could really boost your weekend's betting. So Radek, thank you very much for your assistance and your tips, and fingers crossed we get some good winners this weekend.
Thank you, you too, and sign up for the channel and ring the bell.
Cheers, Radek.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, another exciting weekend of Bundesliga action for us all to look forward to. At the bottom of the table, Mainz will be playing Schalke, and at the top of the table in the Klassiker, we've got Dortmund hosting Bayern Munich. Let us know in the comment section below if you'll be following any of Radek's tips, and if you've enjoyed this show, please make sure that you like, share and subscribe. You can also listen to this on Spotify. Eduardo will be back with you next week for your next week's show on Odds on Bundesliga, but from me, I wish you all the best of luck for a weekend of betting.